The story begins with our main character, Tomoya Tsuchida, a college freshman who has one clear dream: to get a girlfriend. Back in high school, he was at the bottom of the social ladder and never dated anyone. His only friends were other guys, and they constantly reminded each other that none of them had any luck with girls. 3 months into university, someone has already caught his attention: Waka Sakuraba. One morning, she greets him cheerfully and mentions that they both have their first class during the second period. She is also a freshman in the same major and part of the same club. Tomoya sees this as another morning blessed by her presence. When she mentions visiting the club room after class, he says he has no other plans and will likely stop by. She casually adds that she might join him if he goes. This immediately makes him blush, and a light sweat forms on his brow. After she says goodbye and leaves, he watches her go, thinking her cuteness might actually be dangerous for his heart. Their first meeting happened back in April, at the start of the school year. Tomoya had decided to join a campus club to improve his chances of getting a girlfriend. He noticed a banner for the Sunny Travel Club and thought it suited him since he enjoys traveling. While checking it out, Waka approached him and asked if he was a member. Her appearance instantly struck him as cute. He explained that he was a freshman interested in joining. She responded excitedly, saying she was also new and loved traveling. Her sparkling eyes left a strong impression on him. At that moment, he decided he would definitely join, especially if someone like her was part of it. It became his experience of love at first sight. After that encounter, he made steady efforts to get closer to her. He often started conversations. He also suggested working together on assignments. Thanks to his persistence, talking with her now feels natural and comfortable. One day, as he watches her leave, his best friends suddenly appear and call out to him, startling him. They comment on how well things seem to be going with Waka. One of them says his efforts have clearly paid off and that Waka-san is quite a catch. They describe her as kind, cute, and comforting to be around. Even her slightly spacey nature only adds to her charm. To them, she feels almost angelic. One friend suggests that Tomoya should confess soon, but he insists it is too early. They warn him that waiting too long might give someone else the chance to confess first. They remind him how popular she is among both classmates and club members. As they leave, they tease him about his inexperience, prompting him to shout back in protest. Deep down, he admits he really wants a girlfriend. If only confessing were easier. Recently, they have been getting closer. Maybe, just maybe, his feelings will be returned. If only he had the courage to say it. Later, he arrives at the club room and greets the members already there. The travel club mainly organizes 2 big domestic trips each year. Members also gather regularly in the club room. During breaks, they plan small outings nearby, making it a relaxed and friendly group. As people chat, one member mentions that his usual conversation partner is absent. Tomoya decides to wait, expecting Waka to arrive soon. However, time passes and members begin leaving. When Waka still does not show up, he prepares to head home as well. Just as he steps out, she suddenly arrives. The surprise makes him lose his balance. He stumbles forward, and his hand accidentally lands on her, making her visibly uncomfortable. He immediately pulls back and apologizes repeatedly, blaming his own clumsiness. She quickly reassures him not to worry. When she adds that it is fine because it was him, he is completely stunned. Her response gives him hope. Maybe she really does like him. For a moment, he feels confident that confessing might actually work. Tomoya gathers his courage and begins to speak. His face turns red as he tries to express the feelings he has carried since the beginning. He clenches his fist, urging himself to say it. In the end, he stops midway and claims he suddenly remembered something urgent. As he walks away, he tells himself he knew this would happen. There is no way he could actually confess. His 18 years of never having a girlfriend have made moments like this feel overwhelming. On his way back, he scolds himself for being a coward. Reaching into his pocket, he realizes his phone is missing. He assumes he left it in the club room. He returns, but feels too awkward to face Waka again so soon. Instead, he quietly peeks inside. Waka is there, staring at her phone. From the doorway, he can see her watching something on the screen. Then, her voice breaks the silence. She suddenly says she is seriously tired of this situation. Tomoya freezes, growing increasingly uneasy as he continues to watch. He watches through the doorway as Waka continues speaking in an entirely different tone. She complains about how constantly maintaining a smile makes her face hurt, and how exhausting that cute, soft voice becomes. She grumbles about playing the airhead role being hard work, then shifts her attention to that virgin who seemed completely ready to confess before backing out. She declares he will stay like that, no matter how much time passes if he keeps acting that way. Her words leave Tomoya frozen in shock. She continues, noting that getting all tongue-tied remains only natural since she is so cute. She briefly slips back into that sweet voice before suddenly reverting to it entirely. She politely inquires whether something seems wrong in that innocent tone. He needs to understand what just happened. She appeared to transform into a completely different person all of a sudden. She maintains her innocent act while questioning what he means. The situation thoroughly freaks him out, and he pushes the door open to leave, announcing his intention to go home. However, she quickly closes the door and moves closer, demanding to know whether he saw everything. She locks the door behind them while he stands there utterly clueless about what comes next. Waka mentions she has been wondering about something for a while now. She directly asks whether he likes her. He stammers and denies it, but she presses on, pointing out that he was attempting to confess earlier. When she asks what exactly he likes about her, he nervously responds that she seems cute and kind. Her expression shifts as she reveals her disappointment. That personality remains completely fake. She drops the act entirely, reverting to her normal personality and leaving him in shock. He cannot process this revelation. The person he has been talking to all this time was merely a character she created. That cute wife persona and all her previous behavior were just an act she performed. The crushing realization hits him. Did he actually do something that would make her fall for him like that? She responds with a frown, explaining that messing with guys like him proves far too entertaining. Her laughter fills the room as she admits finding it really fun since virgins remain super easy targets. He recognizes this as pure evil, asking whether she has just been toying with him this entire time. He wonders if he somehow made her angry and moves closer, threatening to tell the others about her true nature. She calmly responds by suggesting he go ahead, then pulls out her phone. She mentions she might as well inform everyone what happened earlier, displaying the photograph from that moment. He demands to know when she took that picture. She laughs, saying his expression was too good to resist, and points out that his reaction made his lack of experience obvious. He cannot believe this situation is actually happening. She muses about sending the image to the group chat or perhaps their major department's chat. He screams internally, realizing his dream of getting a girlfriend in college will simply end here. Tomoya concedes defeat, promising not to tell anyone about the real her if she agrees not to expose him. She smirks and accepts this arrangement, confirming not even a peep will escape. He agrees uneasily, thinking bitterly about having been in love with a woman like this. His trust in women has completely evaporated. He wonders whether he can leave now, but she stops him, mentioning she actually has a favor to request. She poses it as a question about whether he will listen to her. His confusion intensifies that this cannot possibly be good. Waka brings our dude to a ramen shop, which puzzles him initially. She explains her hunger as the simple reason for choosing this location. He immediately worries she plans to make him cover her meal, which seems excessive. She clarifies that paying for food herself was never in question. The favor involves something different. She mentions always wanting to try this shop's ramen, which explains why she invited him along. He feels relieved, learning she will not force him to drain his savings. She responds with mock offense, questioning what kind of person he thinks she is. Tomoya reflects on the situation while she slurps down her ramen. The image of her eating this way completely contradicts her fake personality. It makes it impossible for her to visit this place with other club members. He wonders whether her personality facade really matters when it comes to eating ramen, since food remains just food. She insists it does matter because she has established that oily food does not agree with her character. He suggests she could simply come alone, but she refuses outright. The thought of being a lone woman at the counter horrifies her. Any classmate spotting her would destroy her carefully constructed image. He observes how far she takes this entire charade. Just then, his friends from the club arrive at the shop. One of them notices both Tomoya and Waka sitting together. Tomoya feels shock wash over him as his friends approach, curious about their presence here. The friends mention hearing great things about this place from various sources and wonder why the two of them happen to be together. Waka smoothly explains that Tomoya desperately wanted to eat here, so she accompanied him. She turns to him for confirmation. He immediately backs up her story, agreeing that he invited her. His friends criticize him for inviting a girl he likes to a ramen shop since no girl actually wants to eat at such a place. They whisper this harsh assessment to him while departing, suggesting he should just sit and enjoy his food. Tomoya internally protests that she was the one who actually invited him. Waka points out how their presence together now appears as though she merely tagged along with him. He finds her unbelievable, thinking what an irritating woman she turns out to be. She ties up her hair with visible excitement, declaring she can finally enjoy her long-awaited meal. She starts eating the noodles enthusiastically, exclaiming how incredibly good they taste. Her eyes sparkle with genuine happiness as she savors each bite. Tomoya watches her eat and thinks her earlier statements must have been true. He never could have imagined her eating something like this before. She notices his staring and inquires whether something seems wrong. He mentions how thoroughly she slurps down the noodles. She continues eating without pause, questioning whether he has a problem with her eating style. He denies any issue, though internally he remains angry about everything. Despite his frustration, something about the situation feels acceptable. She orders a noodle refill, and he comments on her substantial appetite. Later, as they walk back, she raves about how delicious the meal was and confirms the shop definitely deserved its reputation. She adds that visiting with her friends would be impossible, so this arrangement worked out perfectly. He never has anything going on anyway, she notes. He protests weakly that while he did have free time, her assumption bothers him. He questions why she works so hard to maintain this fake personality. She reasons that this approach makes life more interesting. By always acting kind and cute, she ensures that everyone likes her, which makes things easier for her. She even admits she can easily influence inexperienced guys this way. Tomoya wonders if hiding her true self like this is really okay. She insists everything is fine because her true self proves to. She stops mid-sentence, leaving the thought incomplete. He presses her about what she meant to say, but she brushes it off. She suggests he must feel crushed learning who she really is underneath. He confirms feeling completely heartbroken by the revelation. She responds that this reaction makes perfect sense. He reflects on their past interactions, noting how bubbly she always seemed, which left him clueless about her actual thoughts. Looking back now, their conversations remained only at surface level throughout. Today marks the first time he feels like they had a proper conversation. He acknowledges what a huge shock this has been and how much it has hurt him. Yet talking to her now somehow feels easier than before. This realization really annoys him though. They continue walking their separate ways home. Waka thinks about his comment regarding how talking to her has become easier. She wonders why he had to say something like that, and her face flushes slightly. She tells herself that his words do not make her happy while looking at his picture saved on her phone. Tomoya processes the devastating reality that Waka, the girl he has been admiring all this time, has been faking her entire personality. She actually operates as a devious fraud. He mourns the loss of what he believed was a sweet angel. She turned out to be more of a mischievous devil instead. All his efforts up until now seem completely wasted. He tried so hard to get closer to her, only to discover her personality was fabricated. Just thinking about this situation makes his blood boil. He wants those 3 months back that he lost to this woman. The fact that he was simping so intensely for someone like her seems unbelievable now. Even worse, she noticed his feelings, which makes everything even more mortifying. The next day, Waka suddenly appears from behind and greets him enthusiastically, acting as though nothing has changed. He refuses to respond, which prompts her to complain about being ignored. He questions why she talks to him like nothing happened. He expected she would avoid him after yesterday's revelations. She pauses briefly before noting that he remains angry about what occurred. He confirms anyone would feel upset in his position. She apologizes for not being honest and claims what she told him yesterday was actually a cover. The part about messing with him was entirely a lie. This shocks him momentarily. She begins to explain that the truth is actually, but then reveals she was just kidding. He curses her lack of trustworthiness as they walk away. He thinks bitterly about already knowing her real self, yet she still managed to fool him again. A friend from their club appears and calls out to Waka, who immediately switches to her cutesy personality while greeting and chatting. Tomoya realizes she just transformed personalities in an instant. The friend inquires about the report due today, and Waka confirms she completed it without difficulty. The friend mentions finding it quite challenging despite the seemingly manageable word count requirement and turns to Tomoya for his perspective. He makes a shocked expression as reality hits him. The friend notices his distress and questions whether he forgot about the assignment. He admits he completely forgot to check his assignments yesterday since his head was full of other concerns. The friend worries about whether he will manage and suggests Waka might help him. Waka smiles and agrees enthusiastically, offering to help him get it done. He thanks her while internally recognizing she is totally faking this generous attitude. The friend mentions needing to rush to her work shift and wishes them luck before departing. In the library media room, Waka assists Tomoya with his assignment. She urges him to work quickly since the 800-word requirement remains achievable if he starts immediately. She points out which sections to reference for covering most of the required summary length. He asks in disbelief whether she actually plans to help him with this. She confirms she promised to help earlier. He questions whether she was just pretending when she made that offer. She maintains that helping with something like this represents no big deal. She wears an innocent expression while claiming to be naturally nice. He thinks no one would describe her that way if they knew her real personality, but she immediately reminds him that time is running short. He reconsiders his initial assessment. While she deceives others, making her seem like the worst kind of person, maybe she is not actually so terrible. She continues helping him complete his work. Once the report reaches completion, he uploads it to the university portal and expresses relief that the ordeal has ended. She reminds him this success came thanks to her assistance and expects gratitude. He thanks her briefly. After thinking for a moment, she suggests he should buy her lunch at the cafe as proper thanks. He realizes this was her goal all along, but agrees, stipulating she orders something inexpensive. She agrees readily, and they proceed to the cafe. While eating, Waka comments on how food paid for by a virgin tastes so much better. He complains about her expensive order, but she insists she simply got what she wanted to eat. He feels completely overwhelmed by her controlling nature. Silence settles between them as they walk back. She mentions feeling stuffed while he laments his wasted food budget. She questions what he means by waste since eating lunch with a girl should make him happy. He denies feeling any happiness whatsoever. She mentions having a third-period class and departs after saying this. As she turns back, he thanks her for lunch. Standing there alone, he finds himself somewhat annoyed at how difficult she makes it to hate her. Just then, Waka bumps into someone and immediately apologizes. The other person also apologizes, but when she recognizes him, shock crosses her face. They exchange glances, and the person turns out to be Hariyama, the third-year president of the traveling club. He greets her warmly, then notices Tomoya and comments on the coincidence of finding them both here. He mentions bringing some special Vietnamese souvenirs for Waka. She thanks him enthusiastically and inquires whether he just returned from Vietnam. He confirms his recent arrival, which shocks Tomoya since the president went overseas just recently. Hariyama mentions last month's trip being tremendously fun. The president demonstrates his extreme love for traveling through his enthusiastic manner. His desire to have more friends who share this passion motivated him to create the club last year. He encourages both of them to utilize their free time for more traveling. He waxes poetic about the joys of visiting new places, learning about different cultures, meeting local people, and experiencing the romantic aspects of travel appeal to him greatly. He believes college life must include time to enjoy the wonder of traveling, which explains why he established the traveling club. Everyone can have fun traveling together this way. He puts his arm around both their shoulders while speaking. Tomoya recalls their first meeting when the president's enthusiasm was equally overwhelming. He thanks them both for joining his club. As the president walks with Waka discussing various topics, a girl appears from behind calling out the president's name. She warns him about scaring the first years. The president recognizes her as Amamiya Suzuko, a third-year member of the traveling club. She questions what he is doing here since she has not seen him around lately and wonders if he went somewhere again. The president admits to leaving for just a few days. Next year will be very busy, so he wants to travel every chance he gets this year. Suzuko warns that constantly skipping classes like this might result in him repeating another year. This embarrasses him as he smiles sheepishly. He is indeed repeating his third year due to skipping classes last year. Suzuko then turns to Tomoya and apologizes for their president getting a little too enthusiastic. While watching him, she notices he looks exhausted with dark circles under his eyes. She inquires whether something happened, and he attributes it to not sleeping much yesterday. In reality, Waka's shocking revelation kept him awake, though he keeps this thought to himself. Suzuko presses on, asking whether something is bothering him. He denies any problems, but she moves closer to examine him more carefully. He blushes as her face comes so close to his. She comments on his flushed face while he internally panics about her chest being so close to him right now. He insists everything is fine, and she accepts this, but reminds him to reach out if he encounters any troubles. He agrees quickly. Suzuko then checks on Waka before departing with the president for their third-period class. Tomoya thinks about how stressful that interaction felt since he lacks experience talking with beautiful girls like her. Watching her go, he reflects on her beauty and how completely different she seems compared to Waka. She represents the type of mature and fashionable woman one can only encounter in college. Her graceful demeanor and confident presence create an entirely different impression. The way she carries herself feels sophisticated and worldly, marking a clear contrast to Waka's fabricated cuteness. He turns back to Waka, who wears a serious expression on her face. He questions what is wrong, and she confronts him about being so nervous while talking to that beautiful senior. She presses him about the reason behind his nervousness, and he immediately shuts down the conversation, denying everything. He reminds her about having a third-period class and suggests she should hurry. She agrees and departs, leaving Tomoya confused about why she seemed angry. He has no idea what triggered that reaction. Just then, the president calls out to both Tomoya and Waka, mentioning he almost forgot about the cherry-picking picnic scheduled for tomorrow. He reminds them to wear something easy to move around in before leaving them both confused about what cherry-picking actually involves. The next morning, our lad finds Waka dressed beautifully for the outing. Tomoya's friends watch her arrival and admire her cuteness, noting how peaceful she makes them feel. One compares her appearance to the spirit of the cherry garden itself. Our main character stands behind them, thinking these guys have never experienced her real side. The president arrives wearing a cherry-themed top and expresses excitement about the day ahead. He enthusiastically declares cherry picking as super awesome and urges everyone to share his enthusiasm. He explains how the seasonal transition from spring to summer brings cherry season, allowing them to enjoy cherry-based foods together with friends. Tomoya's friend questions why he seems so happy recently and suggests he back off a little. The president clarifies that today's club activity centers on picking cherries. The previous day, when the president announced tomorrow's picnic, Tomoya inquired about cherry picking. Waka reminded him about their agreement to participate in this activity. Thinking back further, last week the president had announced plans for their second club trip that's a cherry blossom viewing party, and requested attendees to raise their hands. Waka raised her hand immediately, and Tomoya followed suit. He was thinking automatically that wherever she goes, he will also go. He reflects on raising his hand without even thinking, simply because she committed to attending. Waka wonders whether he has truly forgotten that day. Back at the cherry garden, Tomoya's friend complains about only 3 of them eating cherries together, finding the situation rather lame. He questions Tomoya about not hanging out with Waka. Tomoya responds defensively, and his friend points out that usually any chance like this would find him hovering around her. Tomoya thinks back to when he remained unaware of her true nature. His friend criticizes him for acting pathetic and cowardly. Tomoya begins to protest that she is actually different, but before he can explain further, Waka arrives with her cute expression and inquires what is happening. He becomes embarrassed upon seeing her and smiles awkwardly. She requests to borrow Tomoya for a moment from his friends, who readily agree. She pulls him away and reminds him about keeping her secret. He claims it was accidental, but she screams about nearly ruining her perfect girl image. He questions whether she considers herself a celebrity now. She threatens to upload that photo, which makes him immediately apologize and promise it will never happen again. She accepts this resolution and suggests picking cherries sounds more enjoyable. Waka samples a cherry and declares it delicious while he remains silent. She notices his lack of participation and questions whether he plans to eat any. He confirms his intention to eat them. She plucks a cherry from the tree and claims this particular one looks especially delicious. She offers it to him and instructs him to open his mouth. He opens his mouth in confusion, but she pulls the cherry back and changes her mind. He realizes she is teasing him again since his body automatically reacted. He suggests that even without his presence, she would simply tease others instead. She seems puzzled by this comment. He elaborates that if she just wants to tease virgins, she should target his friends, since he already knows her real personality. Teasing people unaware of her true nature would prove funnier. She takes a moment to process this before agreeing with a serious expression and departing. He wonders why she suddenly became angry. Suzuko appears and greets Tomoya, inquiring whether he is having fun. He mentions their luck with the beautiful weather today. She agrees and comments on the scenery being as lovely as an angel. He watches her carefully as she calls his name and moves closer, mentioning she has something to tell him personally. He agrees nervously, wondering why she sits so close. Her proximity makes him anxious, and her pleasant scent distracts him. She whispers in his ear that his pants zipper remains wide open. This mortifies him completely, and he immediately turns away to zip it up while apologizing and thanking her. She laughs and apologizes for not mentioning it earlier. He turns back feeling utterly humiliated and wishing he could disappear. Suzuko then stands on a step and shares that cherries at the top taste the best. He shows interest in this fact. She explains that it is due to increased sunlight exposure and points out a pair of twin cherries growing together. He agrees they look impressive. She bites into one, and he watches, thinking that both the cherries and her appearance make a dangerous combination. She offers him one, and he accepts it gratefully while thinking how mature she seems compared to Waka. Afterwards, she announces that she is heading to another area. From a distance, Waka watches them with a serious expression. Tomoya reflects on Suzuko's kindness but warns himself not to be fooled again. He believes a girl's kindness might just be an act. However, when he sees Suzuko greeting Chiho-chan and asking about her well-being, he begins to reconsider. She genuinely seems thoughtful. She carries herself like a mature adult and maintains a stylish appearance. Compared to her, Waka feels like the only one who behaves differently. Waka suddenly appears and apologizes. He apologizes as well, then asks what is bothering her. She points out that he looked very happy earlier. He questions what she means by that. She clarifies that he seemed to enjoy talking with Suzuko. He thinks there is no way he can admit that Suzuko was simply telling him his pants zipper was open. Waka would definitely laugh at him, so he brushes it off as nothing important. She looks a little sad, but accepts his answer. Trying to change the topic, he shares what he learned about cherries growing higher on the tree, tasting better. She shows interest in this and listens closely. He gives Suzuko credit for the information. Waka acknowledges it and decides to pick some high cherries herself. She climbs up a ladder to reach a good-looking cherry. Tomoya looks up cautiously and realizes the angle almost reveals her undergarments. As she comments on how red the cherry looks, he immediately assumes she is teasing him again. A moment later, he realizes she truly has no idea about her position. A passerby glances up at her and starts staring toward her skirt. Tomoya notices this and quickly tells Waka to stop climbing higher. She protests, insisting she wants to reach cherries from an even greater height. He tries to warn her about her skirt, but she does not understand at first. When it finally clicks, she becomes embarrassed and demands to know where he has been looking. He tries to defend himself, but she cuts him off and says her shorts underneath make it completely fine. Suddenly, her foot slips from the ladder. She loses her balance and falls backward, squeezing her eyes shut. When she opens them, she realizes she has landed directly in his lap. Both of them freeze in complete shock. Tomoya becomes acutely aware of how close they are standing. She looks fragile next to him, almost delicate. When he puts his hand on her shoulder to steady her, he catches the scent of her hair, which makes his heart skip. As she stands up, he quickly checks if she's hurt. She answers softly, apologizing as color rises in her cheeks. She's fine, just thankful he caught her. His reaction was purely instinctive, nothing more. He turns away quickly, muttering that he's glad she's okay, telling her to be more careful. After he leaves, she stays frozen in place, fidgeting nervously with the fabric of her skirt. The embarrassment washes over her in waves. President Daiichi's voice suddenly cuts through the moment. He calls for Tomoya, reminding him they need to start getting ready soon. The words jolt Tomoya back to reality. Time is moving faster than he thought. Before he can take another step, Waka comes up from behind and grabs his shirt sleeve. When he turns around, confusion written across his face, she thanks him quickly for earlier, her cheeks burning bright red. Before he can respond, before he can say anything at all, she runs away, stammering that she has to leave right now. Tomoya stands frozen, replaying what just happened. Something about the way she acted feels real and honest, unguarded. If she keeps acting like this, he might really start to like her, but he catches himself immediately. He can't let himself think that way. She lied to him before and hurt him deeply, so he won't let that happen again. His friends show up moments later. One immediately asks about his talk with Waka, eyebrows raised knowingly. He brushes it off with a shrug, saying nothing important happened. They exchange glances and begin teasing him relentlessly, even as he keeps insisting it's not what they think. The thought creeps in unbidden. Does she act this way with them too when he's not around? The idea bothers him more than it should. As they leave together, his friends mention how quiet she's been all day. She seemed distracted, barely acknowledging them as she walked past. One friend jokes about whether she might actually like one of them instead. The comment irritates him far more than it has any right to. Tomoya sees the pattern now, clear as day. For 3 months, she's only been playing around with him. Nobody else gets this treatment. The question keeps nagging at him. Is there something real beneath her fake personality? He pushes the thought away immediately. That's stupid. The real Waka just sees him as entertainment, nothing more. He won't let her trick him. Meanwhile, she stands alone, her mind circling back to him. His kindness has confused her since they first met, and she can't seem to stop thinking about it. Finally, she spots her friends in the distance and walks toward them. From far away, Suzuko watches it carefully. Later that night, the group gathers in a cozy cafe, the atmosphere warm and relaxed. President Daiichi lifts his glass with a grin, thanking everyone for coming and suggesting a toast. Waka taps her drink against Tomoya's glass, the gentle clink surprising him for just a moment. While drinking, he admits to himself that regardless of whether she's being real or not, she's definitely cute. His friend leans over, wondering what she's drinking. She explains it's a non-alcoholic cocktail with strawberries and oranges, her voice light. He comments that her drink choice seems girly, and Tomoya can't help but remember how she devours entire bowls of noodles without any shame whatsoever. Suzuko tells President Daiichi that drinks feel especially nice after working hard. He laughs good-naturedly, saying their job wasn't really that difficult. She arches an eyebrow, asking if he plans to drink too much again, pointedly reminding him that someone needs to be sober enough to drive home. He waves away her concern dismissively. She sighs, noting that he always claims he won't overdo it but inevitably does anyway. One of Tomoya's friends suddenly observes that Suzuko and Daichi-senpai look more like a couple every minute. She immediately gets flustered, denying it emphatically. The president also protests. He clarifies that they've been friends since childhood and have known each other for years. They've moved through life like siblings, he says. Suzuko adds dryly that she'd say they've been stuck with each other since elementary school, actually. The friend thinks it's nice to have friends of the opposite gender from when you're young. Another friend nods in agreement. Waka shrugs, saying it's not really that special. The first friend suddenly turns to Tomoya with a mischievous glint, pointing out that girls have never really been around him either. Tomoya shifts uncomfortably, admitting he once had a female friend from childhood. His friends look genuinely shocked, accusing him of hiding this from them all this time. They immediately demand proof. Reluctantly, Tomoya pulls out an old photo from his middle school graduation day. His friends crowd around eagerly, surprised by the girl in the picture. Questions pour out. How pretty she is, why he betrayed them, when can they get introductions? Waka stares at the picture silently as Tomoya explains that they slowly drifted apart during middle school. They went in different directions and eventually lost touch completely. Finding her now would be impossible, so this is just a memory from the past. His friend insists it still counts. Waka sighs quietly when she hears this. Tomoya feels something twist in his chest, watching her reaction. Suzuko observes Waka's struggle with careful, quiet attention before another friend calls her away. Waka walks over to join them. Tomoya's friends begin talking about how much everyone likes her, how everyone knows she's kind. But he knows the truth, the act behind that shining reputation. He watches her from across the room with new eyes, wondering how exhausting it must be to maintain that fake personality constantly. Eventually, he excuses himself and heads to the bathroom. The heavy atmosphere in the room seems to have affected his head, even though he hasn't been drinking at all. On his way, he spots her standing near what looks like a hallway. Not saying that he's looking for the bathroom, she points him in the right direction, then he wonders what brings her to this quiet spot. She admits that being cheerful all the time makes her tired. She needs a break sometimes. He notices that even alcohol can't diminish how beautiful she looks. She agrees readily, admitting that acting cute makes everyone happy, so she does it. Inside, he struggles to understand this contradiction. How can someone so deliberately fake have these genuinely real moments too? She keeps talking, telling him about her terrible ability to handle alcohol and a chocolate wine incident that left her completely drunk. He warns her seriously not to drink anything strong. She agrees, and he turns to continue walking. But she stops him with a laugh, pointing out that he's actually heading toward the kitchen, not the bathroom, and redirects him the right way. Her laugh at his mistake sounds genuinely lovely. He wonders if he's tipsy or just noticing her differently, but she looks even more beautiful than before. Her friends return then, announcing that drinks are ready. She takes hers and sips it, but the flavor is surprisingly, unpleasantly bitter. Across the room at the bar, two other girls are talking. One complains she ordered wine but received a yogurt drink instead. Just then, a girl hurries to Waka's table, apologizing profusely. She got the wrong drinks by mistake, and the wine was meant for her. Shock freezes Waka in place. An hour passes before Waka's friends begin to notice something is seriously wrong. They crowd around her worriedly, asking if she's okay and urging her to drink some water. When they ask what happened, her friend tells them shakily that she accidentally drank someone else's wine. Tomoya remembers her mentioning earlier that she can't handle alcohol well, so he quickly walks over. One look at her flushed face tells him everything he needs to know. Her head is spinning badly now. As he watches with growing concern, she looks directly at him with unfocused eyes and mumbles words that don't make sense to anyone around them. Everyone exchanges confused, worried looks. Our lad realizes what's happening. She's clearly drunk and losing control fast, which means her real self is about to surface. That's not good at all. She slurs that she has no idea what's happening to her. Tomoya sees and suggests they leave immediately. He gently points out that she looks exhausted and needs to go home. He quickly grabs her bag and guides her toward the door with a firm but careful grip. His friends watch as he says goodbye hastily, explaining that he needs to help her get home safely. They wave as he ushers her away. Outside, she becomes even more unsteady, stumbling as he holds her upright. She protests weakly, insisting she was having fun and doesn't want to leave yet. He reminds her firmly that if they don't go now, everything might be revealed. When she asks what he means through the fog, he explains that her secret will become a serious problem if everyone finds out. But she is genuinely confused about what secret he is even talking about. A thought nags at him as they walk. Why does he feel obligated to keep helping her hide things? Even if everyone discovers her condition, it shouldn't really be his responsibility. Yet her weakened state, her innocent appearance, and her endearingly helpless behavior make him continue protecting her anyway. He He feels strangely drawn to how vulnerable she is right now. As they walk, she keeps swaying dangerously, her vision clearly blurred. He asks for directions to her place, offering to walk her home. She pushes back, wondering why they have to go home so soon when the night is still young. When he insists, her foggy gaze catches on a nearby hotel sign. Instead of giving him her address, she makes a strange and unexpected request. She wants to rest somewhere close by. Her unfocused eyes fix on the hotel. He is shocked but finds himself walking in with her anyway, unable to refuse. His shock is obvious as he turns to look at her in complete disbelief. Tomoya also lies down beside her, but she shifts too close for comfort. Waka notices and musing what the problem is, telling him to relax and move a little closer. His mind spins as he becomes hyper-aware of every small detail. Looking at her calm face, he thinks about how genuinely cute she is. He wonders if he can handle being this close without overthinking everything. A reckless voice in his head suggests that doing nothing would make him seem cowardly. Still, he hesitates, unsure of what she actually wants. Then reality cuts through his thoughts. Even in this quiet moment, she seems completely at ease next to him, trusting him without hesitation. That trust makes him pause. Whatever he does now matters. He breaks the silence by asking why she invited him here. Waka turns toward him, fully awake now, and asks what else it could mean. But instead of doing anything impulsive, she studies his expression as if waiting for him to understand. The moment stretches, filled with tension rather than action. He remains still, unsure whether to move forward or keep his distance, his thoughts caught between curiosity and restraint. Tomoya immediately tells her to stop, his mind racing with questions. He asks if she's seriously suggesting something more than just resting. Waka lazily reaches for a bottle of water and takes a long drink before replying. She asks if he didn't come here for the same reason, leaving him stunned into silence. Then she calmly explains that things should happen in the proper order, and for now, she just wants to rest. Her home is far away and she's exhausted. Besides, the hotel charges by the hour, so there's no need to rush. Tomoya nods numbly, unable to respond. It hits him. He completely misunderstood. She only came here because she was tired. Even though she's clearly intoxicated and not thinking entirely straight, the situation is far more innocent than he imagined. She removes her jacket, saying she feels overheated from earlier, teasing that he's like a microwave. He admits he's surprised by how casually she's treating everything. She rolls her eyes and teasingly asks if he's inexperienced, laughing at his embarrassed reaction. She seems genuinely amused. He gives up trying to make sense of things and mutters that dealing with her like this is exhausting. Before he can continue, her eyes close and she falls asleep almost instantly. He stares in disbelief. She's completely out. He realizes how careless the situation could have been. Without someone looking out for her, she might have ended up in trouble. He gently drapes a blanket over her and mutters that she keeps throwing him off balance. Exhaustion hits him soon after. He decides to take a shower and stay until morning. He can't leave her alone like this. Afterward, he tries to sleep on the sofa, but the cold and discomfort make it impossible. Eventually, he gives up and moves to the far edge of the bed, keeping a respectful distance. Hours later, Waka wakes feeling uneasy. As she sits up, she notices Tomoya sleeping nearby. She freezes in confusion, trying to piece together where she is and what happened. Waka sits up immediately, her mind racing as she tries to piece together what happened. She remembers drinking by accident, and then nothing, just blank emptiness. Panic floods her thoughts as she wonders what she might have said or done. The uncertainty alone is enough to frighten her. Tomoya yawns and stretches as he slowly wakes up. Sitting up, he wonders why he's in the bed instead of the sofa, then notices her terrified expression. Realization hits him instantly. She's assuming the worst. She accuses him of being a pervert, insisting he must have taken advantage of her while she was drunk. She claims he did something terrible. Tomoya quickly denies it, trying to explain that nothing happened, but she dismisses his words as lies. When he asks if she remembers anything, she admits she remembers nothing at all. As he tries again to explain, she cuts him off, begging him not to say anything further. She refuses to listen. Tomoya feels the situation slipping out of control. She continues to insult him, despite the evidence. Struggling to stay calm, he explains that she had been extremely drunk and he was only trying to help her. Waka responds bitterly that she never expected this from him. Declaring she's leaving, she heads for the door and pulls hard at the handle in frustration. The door doesn't open. Confused, she tries again. Tomoya tells her to wait, urging her to listen. He insists she needs to hear him out before jumping to conclusions. After hearing the truth, she's relieved. While showering, she talks to herself, distressed and overwhelmed. Panic grips her as she replays what she might have said, worried she may have said something misleading or embarrassing. The fact that she can't remember anything only makes it worse. The embarrassment of how she acted weighs heavily on her. Even so, she can't understand why Tomoya seems so calm. His relaxed attitude makes her wonder if he simply doesn't care as much as she thought. Remembering how she teased him before, she starts to worry that something might have changed. Calling herself foolish, she decides to move on. His earlier words echo in her mind that she should stop acting this way, but that thought bothers her because she would never feel comfortable putting herself in a situation like this with just anyone, only someone she truly trusts. Later, as they leave the hotel, Waka comments on how unexpectedly nice everything was. She excitedly talks about it, mentioning the facilities and how she was able to freshen up. Tomoya quietly tells her to lower her voice. She continues chatting, impressed by everything she saw. When he realizes it was her first time in a place like this, he's genuinely surprised. He then points out that coming to a place in that condition isn't something most people would do on their first visit. Embarrassed, she tries to change the subject, but he reminds her to be more careful about how situations like that can be misunderstood. She insists she wasn't acting that way at all, but he remains skeptical. He tells her she should be more mindful and trust only people who will look out for her. She responds firmly that she would never go somewhere like that with someone she doesn't trust completely. This leaves him confused, unsure if she's teasing again. As they walk, he begins to understand her meaning and blushes slightly. She notices and laughs, teasing him gently. Trying to recover, he quickly changes the topic and suggests they get something to eat. As they pass by, a girl recognizes him and approaches. Before he can respond, Waka loudly asks if they should hang out like that again sometime soon. He immediately shuts it down and asks her to keep her voice down. The girl overhears and pauses, clearly surprised by what she thinks she heard. The next day, Tomoya's friends immediately confront him, demanding to know what's been going on with him lately. They pressure him relentlessly for details about what really happened when he took her home. He insists firmly that nothing happened at all. His friends clearly don't believe him for a second, asking how he even got himself into such situation in the first place. Tomoya says defensively he didn't have a choice and only did what was absolutely necessary. Waka shows up, and her friends greet her warmly, commenting on how lucky they are to see her first thing in the morning. Tomoya thinks to himself somewhat bitterly that they literally see each other every single day anyway. One friend asks her directly if Tomoya acted inappropriately at the drinking party or did anything strange. Tomoya tenses nervously, wondering what the friend is really asking. Waka responds calmly that she's perfectly fine, adding that Tomoya was very nice and gentlemanly. She clarifies that all he did was walk her home safely. Tomoya confirms this story with relief. Waka then mentions that she needs to talk to him privately later and asks if that would be okay. His friends immediately grow curious and press to know what the conversation could be about. Waka politely refuses to say anything yet, which makes them feel that something is off. As she leaves, one friend yells after him accusingly that this is totally unfair and that he must be jealous. The friend confidently guesses that something definitely happened between them that night. Tomoya thinks to himself that nothing occurred. His friend remains skeptical, pointing out that there must be an important reason she asked for a private conversation. The friend wonders aloud if she might be planning to confess that she likes him. Later, he meets Waka in an empty classroom. She comments that he's late, and he apologizes, explaining his last class ran longer than expected. She says it's fine. He wonders if her innocent look is genuine this time and asks what she wanted to discuss. She gets straight to the point and asks how much money she owes him. Confused, Tomoya asks what she means. She explains that she needs to repay him for the fees he paid before. He reminds her that he already told her not to worry about it, saying it was his treat and that he didn't mind paying. Waka refuses firmly, insisting she can't accept his payment. She explains that if they were dating, it would be different, but since they aren't, she can't let him pay for her. She then asks if he did anything to her while she was sleeping. Tomoya answers firmly, almost exasperated that he didn't. Waka insists she will repay him no matter what. He reluctantly agrees, thinking that if he pushes too hard, she will just tease him endlessly, which is exactly what he expects. He tells her the total comes to 5,000. She groans, admitting sheepishly that she spent all her money this month on club activities. Tomoya asks if she really spent everything on that. She asks what she's supposed to do now since she doesn't have enough money, then requests to pay him back next month instead. Tomoya says it's completely fine and reminds her again that it was his treat. He also admits, somewhat shyly, that he actually enjoyed himself. Waka points out that he's been paying for things a lot lately, which makes her uncomfortable. She suggests that if she can't pay him back with money, maybe she can do him a favor in return instead. When Tomoya asks what she means exactly, she jokingly asks if he thinks she's capable of being helpful in other ways. Startled, he tells her not to joke around like that, feeling flustered. Waka finds his reaction absolutely hilarious and teases him. Tomoya tells her to be quiet, thinking she only wants a reaction for her own amusement. He tells her to calm down and stop teasing him so much. Waka explains that he can simply think of it as her borrowing money for now. Tomoya asks why she sounds so hungry this early in the morning. She replies that she skipped breakfast because she just woke up, adding that missing meals regularly isn't healthy. Tomoya agrees. She then asks if he's eating properly at home, reminding him that he lives alone. She questions whether he buys fresh food and vegetables. He admits, somewhat guiltily, that he has been eating mostly frozen food because it's convenient and tastes good. Waka asks if he cooks anything at all. He responds that he does, proudly claiming he can make instant ramen like a professional. She remarks that his eating habits sound unhealthy. Tomoya explains that he simply doesn't enjoy cooking. Waka then suggests gently that if that's the case, she will cook for him instead. The scene shifts to Waka wearing an apron, ready and determined to start cooking. She made a promise to him, and now it's time to follow through completely. She expresses that she'll make him a bento box to repay him for the hotel money he spent. She wants to make it herself personally to ensure he'll really enjoy it, though she quickly adds that it's fine if he isn't too enthusiastic. Tomoya asks if she's truly willing to make one specifically for him. She questions if he really wants her to go to that effort. He confirms earnestly that he does, framing it as a simple thank you gift. Waka agrees excitedly, promising to create something both nutritious and delicious. She tells him she'll bring it to him tomorrow without fail. Tomoya thanks her sincerely and thinks to himself that his diet really has been unhealthy lately. He feels genuinely lucky about this unexpected situation. Meanwhile, Waka is already focused intently on her cooking plans. She's confident about her abilities. She had learned these cooking skills recently, but approaches the task with strong determination. She thinks anyone living alone should know how to cook properly. She stays confident in her abilities and sets a personal goal to make an absolutely perfect bento. She's determined. She wants him to praise her cooking enthusiastically. As she works, she remembers a conversation from earlier in the day. Tomoya's friends had asked if he wanted to eat lunch with them after school. He had agreed readily. When they suggested various restaurants around campus, he said that most places would be fine, but mentioned that he particularly preferred one because he loved their meat dishes. Suzuko had overheard the conversation and made a careful mental note of what he likes. The next day, Waka shows up at the club room and presents the bento box to Tomoya with barely contained pride. As they sit down together, he thanks her profusely for making it. She tells him there's no need to thank her and simply encourages him to eat and enjoy. Just then, Daichi and Suzuko walk in casually, asking if they're having lunch in the club room today. Tomoya confirms and explains happily that he has a homemade bento to eat. His friends respond with genuine excitement. Daichi mentions that he brought a bento too. Suzuko opens her lunchbox to reveal an incredibly appetizing meal. Tomoya expresses sincere amazement and asks if Suzuko made it herself. She confirms that she did and explains that she brings homemade lunch regularly because she genuinely loves cooking. The club president suggests that Tomoya should try Suzuko's cooking and praises how good it always is. Suzuko graciously offers to let him taste her meal. As everyone samples her bento, they praise how delicious everything is. Waka also agrees politely that Suzuko's cooking looks wonderful. Daichi says that of course Suzuko is an amazing cook. She's been exceptionally good for a long time. Suzuko tells him somewhat curtly that his comment isn't necessary. Tomoya agrees that Suzuko's cooking is impressive and reaches toward the bento box that Waka brought specifically for him. Before he can open the lid, Waka stops him, her hand shooting out. She unexpectedly suggests that they go to the cafeteria instead. Tomoya looks completely confused at this sudden change of plans. Waka insists that she really wants to visit the cafeteria today and tells him to hurry up. She mentions that the menu today is supposedly very good. Tomoya asks what will happen to the food she made specially. Waka responds dismissively that she'll just make another one for him next time. Tomoya protests firmly, pointing out that she already made this one specifically for him and put effort into it. Waka brushes it off, suggesting they forget about it and go quickly to the cafeteria before it gets too crowded. He stands firm and refuses to go. He clearly expresses that he wants to eat the bento she made for him today, right now. His words carry an unmistakable message. He genuinely values her effort and won't be swayed by Suzuko's impressive meal or the cafeteria menu. He's choosing her cooking and wants her to know it. Tomoya announces that he wants Waka's homemade lunch, catching her completely off guard. When she questions his decision, he clarifies that nothing else appeals to him, only her cooking matters today. Her nervousness peaks as he reminds her of yesterday's promise, mentioning how he deliberately skipped bringing lunch money because of it. During lunch, he admires the presentation while Waka sits rigidly beside him. She feels very shy and insecure about the delicious bento he has tasted before. He takes his first bite and silence stretches between them as she refuses to meet his gaze. Her anxiety grows unbearable, prompting her to downplay the meal, insisting she rush through it and offering him an easy out if he dislikes it. Tomoya apologizes for his distraction, confessing he got completely absorbed in the flavors. The food tastes incredible. Waka stares at him in disbelief. His mind races with the realization that this marks his first girl-made lunch ever, especially from someone like her. The experience leaves him unexpectedly jittery. He reflects on how impressive the results are despite her claims of hurrying. Even the soup delivers perfect flavor. A thought crosses his mind. Perhaps she practiced repeatedly to achieve this quality for him. He quickly dismisses the romantic notion, convincing himself she simply wants to repay the 5,000 yen debt. She teases him about probably never receiving a girl's handmade lunch before, demanding proper gratitude. He readily thanks her, admitting genuine happiness. She watches in shock as he reaches for the minced meat cutlet, declaring it his absolute favorite. She perks up, revealing it as her specialty dish. After finishing everything, he praises how delicious it was. Waka modestly replies that she didn't put in her best effort, but feels glad he enjoyed it, though she assumes Suzuko's bento surpassed hers. He surprises her by admitting that while Suzuko's was good, he prefers Waka's version more. Her face flushes as she questions why. Tomoya explains how obviously masculine the portions feel, packed with meat and bold seasoning. When she wonders whether that counts as a compliment, he clarifies that her cooking genuinely impresses him with nothing bad about it at all. He sips his drink, while she looks at him with a smile. Happiness radiates from her as she wonders aloud how lucky she is. Meanwhile, Tomoya wrestles with confusion over her positive reaction. He wonders how someone with such an intimidating presence can display this softer side. She actually seems pleased that he enjoyed her thank you gesture. The whole situation baffles him completely as he finishes eating. The girl from earlier enters the classroom and spots them together. Recognition dawns. That's definitely Tomoya with yesterday's girl. They're sitting in an isolated corner sharing homemade food, which strongly suggests a relationship between them. The scene shifts to the morning. Tomoya's friend is running, appreciating the beautiful weather perfect for running. Waka suddenly invades her thoughts. Definitely his girlfriend. She forcefully shakes off the notion, insisting she doesn't care while recommitting to giving her best effort today. Meanwhile, at Tomoya's university, the classroom fills up after lunch as the 1 o'clock sun shines at its brightest. Third period drags endlessly, creating the sleepiest part of the entire school day. Tomoya struggles desperately to keep his eyes open while watching the professor. The instructor's hypnotic voice makes staying awake nearly impossible. As he's about to fall asleep, someone's pencil suddenly pokes his hand. He jumps, turning to find Waka smiling at him. His phone immediately buzzes with her message questioning what that was for. She responds with laughter, explaining she was simply waking him since he nearly fell asleep. He complains about the painful method while she playfully suggests a kiss instead. He tells her to stop joking. She reminds him how he specifically requested her to sit beside him that day. The memory returns, him inviting her to join him. He brushes it off with whatever, while she mentions how fun sitting together has become anyway. Her next message carries visible hurt, wondering if he plans to ignore her now, questioning whether he hates her that much and finds her really that obnoxious. Tomoya realizes she genuinely recognizes her own tendencies. He contemplates whether he'd really give silent treatment like a child would. She thinks he's right while he ponders the concept of hate. Her teasing definitely irritates him sometimes, but he messages back honestly. He's not ignoring her at all, and certainly doesn't hate her either. Waka reads this and starts blushing deeply. A while later, Tomoya notices a girl asleep in class. Seeing someone else dozing like that makes his own drowsiness feel a little less unusual. Her hair completely covers her face, but as he studies her, she feels strangely familiar. She suddenly tilts to the side, about to fall, and he instinctively reaches out to steady her with a gentle touch before quickly pulling his hand back. Panic hits him instantly. He just grabbed a stranger's arm. She wakes up apologizing as her hair falls away, revealing her face. Tomoya freezes in complete shock. They lock eyes, both equally stunned. She calls his name. He demands in disbelief what she just said. The professor immediately gets attentive and demands whether there's any problem. She responds that it's nothing. Outside the classroom, she confirms whether it's really him, Tomoya. He verifies her identity as Yuzuki. She confirms that's right, while he processes they're both attending the same school. She expresses surprise about never seeing him on campus before. He wonders the same while questioning how long it's been now. She mentions their last meeting was during middle school. Waka listens to their conversation in complete shock. Tomoya introduces his childhood friend Nakano Yuzuki. Yuzuki greets her nicely. Waka's mind connects the dots. This is the Yuzuki who was in that picture. She introduces herself and returns the greeting politely. Yuzuki also registers her surprise internally. So this is Waka, who was sitting with him, apparently Tomoya's friend from the same club as him. She comments on them getting along well together and asks permission to call her Waka since the name sounds too cute. Then recognition suddenly strikes her. The name Sakuraba Waka, it sounds incredibly familiar. She thinks she's heard that name before. Waka suggests maybe she's just mistaking it for someone else. Yuzuki considers this possibility while asking Tomoya whether he thinks it sounds familiar too. He replies that now she mentions it, he does find it familiar. Waka insists she's sure Yuzuki has just mistaken her for someone else. Tomoya then questions how they're even in the same class when he's never seen her before. Yuzuki explains she's usually always sleeping during that class, so that might explain why he didn't notice her. He acknowledges that's why while laughing together. He remarks that her bad habit hasn't changed since she was a kid. She blushes while admitting, nope, she still does it, but notes he hasn't changed at all either. He questions whether she really thinks so. She confirms yes, but maybe he's gotten a little taller, she thinks. He observes she doesn't look too different either. She protests having changed a lot, urging him to look carefully. He examines her more closely and questions where she's changed. His eyes automatically fall on her figure with his mouth wide open as his thoughts confirm she really has changed. But she redirects to her face, pointing out she's wearing makeup now. She started wearing makeup since starting college. Tomoya acknowledges understanding makeup as what she meant. She confirms, of course, while questioning what he thought she meant. Waka continues listening to their conversation uncomfortably. Tomoya's thoughts question what the hell and why he's thinking about her like that. But really, aside from that particular aspect, nothing else about her has really changed. They might not have seen each other in years, but can still talk just like they used to. Later, while Waka heads back home, she processes the unexpected situation about the childhood friend attending the same college. She questions why she's getting upset about it. Whatever, it's got nothing to do with her anyway. Just then, two girls pass by discussing what a refreshing way to release stress. The other agrees about such a good way to relax. A Sagami public bath hot spring banner appears in front of her. She looks at it and thinks that's right. This area has a new public bath. Soaking in all that hot water would feel really good. She smiles, deciding to see if it changes how she feels a little today. Inside the bath, she stretches out luxuriously while thinking how good this feels. Soaking in hot water like this reminds her of old times. Nothing beats stretching your legs while bathing like this. The bath in her studio apartment doesn't allow for this. She reflects on Yuzuki's physique and thinks hers isn't really that small. It's normal. Everyone seemed about the same. Then suddenly, someone with a very noticeable presence steps right into her line of sight. She turns to discover it belongs to Yuzuki. They both stare at each other nervously in surprise. Yuzuki questions what a coincidence and whether Waka comes here often. She replies no, it's her first time coming here. Yuzuki's eyes light up as she reveals she's a regular customer here, especially at times when she's running. She always comes here afterwards to clean. Yuzuki then mentions there's something that has been on her mind and hesitantly declares that Waka is so cute. She blushes as Yuzuki elaborates how she's noticed ever since they first met. Waka is extremely cute with such beautiful skin and shiny hair. Waka thanks her while wondering why Yuzuki is acting like this all of a sudden. She counters that Yuzuki is cute as well. She insists Waka doesn't need to praise her. Waka protests, no. She's really telling the truth. She then adds that Yuzuki looks very stylish as well. Yuzuki dismisses this with, oh no, she really loves to eat so she's got a lot of fat on her, making her not cute. Yuzuki then expresses disbelief to Waka. She cannot believe that Tomoya is with such a cute girl like her. They definitely cannot underestimate him. Waka feels confused, before Yuzuki then questions when the two of them started dating. Waka blushes intensely while demanding what she's even saying. Yuzuki hesitates before admitting she thought their relationship was already serious. Waka immediately denies it, flustered, and hurriedly explains it was all a misunderstanding, when then why they went somewhere like that. Waka insists they simply went into the wrong place by accident. Yuzuki accepts this with, I guess these things sometimes happen, right? Waka feels shocked that she's believed it. How can she be so naive? Yuzuki then mentions she guesses it's really lucky for her that they're not dating after all. Waka carefully questions whether it could be that Yuzuki likes him. She blushes deeply while confirming, yes, she really likes him. Waka repeats the question again, that she really likes him. Yuzuki confirms yes. Waka probes how long this has been going on. Yuzuki responds that it's been a really long time. Waka's expression changes as she thinks with sadness that she likes him too. But just then, Yuzuki finishes her sentence differently since they're really old friends, you know. Waka processes this with old friends, questioning if it's not a romantic kind of like. Yuzuki quickly clarifies, no, not at all. It's not that kind of like. Waka got worried there. Yuzuki explains since she's never had a boyfriend or really dated before, it's super annoying to imagine him somehow getting a girlfriend first and beating her too. Waka sighs in relief. Yuzuki then continues that because he and she were always together when they were just kids, and their houses were pretty close to each other. They used to play together all the time in elementary school. They would have races back home every day after school, then chase each other in the local park. Waka notes that she's liked to run ever since she was a little kid too. Yuzuki laughs and confirms, but now she's actually really bad at working out. Even though she really enjoys running, she's super slow compared to everybody else. Back then, it made her so mad that she began to hate running at one point. But then one day, Tomoya asked her if she wanted to run anymore. She replied that because she runs too slow, it's embarrassing and makes her sad. He responded, asking why she thinks she has to run fast. It's fine if she just runs because she's having fun, right? He always has fun because watching her run makes him really happy. Back in the present, Yuzuki explains that thanks to those kind words from him back then, she still enjoys running just for fun now. Right now, he's just the same sweet guy as she remembers, so that's why she's super happy to see him again. Waka's thoughts question whether Yuzuki really meant it's not like that. She then suddenly finds the water feeling very hot. Yuzuki questions her directly, what about her? Does she really like him in a romantic way? Waka denies it. Yuzuki points out that her face is bright red, super red. She persists if Waka really likes him a lot. Suddenly, Waka's head drops down as she starts to faint. Yuzuki shouts her name in alarm. Meanwhile, Tomoya's phone rings with a message from Yuzuki telling him to come quickly. He wonders what's up with her all of a sudden. Then another message arrives, informing him that Waka passed out at the hot spring. Shock floods through him completely. Later, as they emerge from the bathhouse, Yuzuki checks whether Waka feels okay. She confirms that she does and explains that the fainting happened because she stayed in the hot water too long, but everything feels fine now that she is out. Yuzuki offers her some water, which Waka accepts gratefully. Yuzuki probes again whether she truly feels okay and whether any sickness lingers, and Waka reassures her that not really, she is completely fine while smiling. Tears well up in Yuzuki's eyes as she pulls Waka into a hug. Feeling so relieved, Waka questions what is happening. Yuzuki explains the worry that consumed her, thinking maybe Waka fainted because she pushed too hard for details during their talk, and apologizes profusely. Waka shows her it is not her fault while thinking internally about what she should do, realizing that Yuzuki is so incredibly nice. During the embrace, Waka reflects that she can tell Yuzuki is truly a very kind and caring person, completely the opposite of herself. Just then, Tomoya arrives, questioning whether she is there and whether she feels okay since he heard about the passing out. Waka stares at him in shock, demanding why he is here. Yuzuki explains that she sent him a message to come and help, informing him that Waka passed out and telling him the need to come pick her up. Waka repeatedly reacts in disbelief. Tomoya questions what is wrong since she looks perfectly fine. Yuzuki instructs him to give Waka a piggyback ride back home, and both Waka and Tomoya protest in shock, asking why it has to be him. Yuzuki explains what he thinks she called him for, saying she would give the piggyback ride herself if she could, but she does not have the strength. He insists that she looks perfectly fine and can walk on her own. Yuzuki counters that Waka is still not totally okay yet. He maintains that she really does not look very sick. Yuzuki replies that Waka is such a cute, sweet, and delicate girl, and asks if he would take responsibility if she tripped and got hurt. He thinks she has even fooled Yuzuki now and reluctantly agrees to carry her. Waka suggests that maybe Yuzuki is right. Tomoya looks at her innocent face, thinking no way, is she really acting? She gazes at him with a flushed face and puppy dog eyes, leaving them both shocked. Then she suddenly announces that she is fine. Yuzuki immediately insists that she is absolutely not fine and orders him to hurry up and piggyback her. He agrees, sits down, and tells her to get on while thinking why the heck Waka turned on her innocent act. Even though he knows she is only pretending, he cannot resist it. While preparing to ride him, Waka wonders whether this really feels okay since she was only joking. She announces that she is coming and climbs onto his back. He thinks her face feels so close and wonders what he should do. She blushes intensely while Yuzuki watches both of them from a distance, thinking about this strange feeling she does not understand. Tomoya's thoughts race. As expected, he feels super nervous. His heart feels like it's going to pound right out of his chest. He wonders what kind of expression Waka has on her face. Turns out she's blushing completely while seeming just fine on the surface. As they head back home, she comments how this feels so much easier than walking herself. He protests, "Hey, she's been able to walk this whole time. Don't try to pull any crap like that on him." She denies it. She really cannot walk right now. He thinks it feels like he's some kind of human taxi or something. Giving a piggyback ride like this feels super embarrassing. People watch them passing by and find them adorable. He curses internally. Damn it, Yuzuki feels so shameless forcing him to do something embarrassing like this, and then taking off. She left mentioning a part-time job. He wonders whether she even cares what other people think of this situation. Waka blushes as she holds on to him nervously in silence. He thinks, well, if he worries about it too much, she might notice, and then she'll definitely tease him about it. Even if he doesn't want to, he'll still have to take her home. It seems like she really did faint back there, and he'd be in big trouble if she fainted again on the way home. She slips down slightly. He thinks she's starting to slip. Let him just shift her up higher. He does exactly that, which scares her, prompting her to wrap her arms around his neck. Both of them blush intensely. She immediately apologizes. He thinks she's so close. Suddenly he realizes that just now it seemed like her heart was beating even faster than his. Could it be she's finally feeling embarrassed about this situation? She tells him if he wants to change her position, just tell her. Don't just do it so suddenly like that. He apologizes while thinking he gets it now. Her heart was beating so fast because he kind of scared her. She announces he can let her down now since they're here. He agrees. He sets her down carefully and questions whether she can walk. She confirms, yes. She comes close to him and thanks him very much, which makes them both blush intensely. She questions whether she scared him. He deflects with just going inside already. She agrees okay. He thinks, well, she got him again, while she heads inside thinking he hasn't found out, right? Meanwhile, Yuzuki heading back home remembers the scene when he was carrying Waka. She calls Tomoya, and as he picks up, she questions, hey, next time can they hang out together somewhere? She wonders why the two of them cannot go on a date sometime, and he freezes in shock, blurting out what? He returns home with his mind stuck on that single word, a date, an actual date, the kind couples go on, him and Yuzuki. The thought sends his head spinning because, childhood friends or not, this would be the first time he ever goes on a date with her. The next day, he reaches the restaurant dressed up in the new clothes he recently bought. Yuzuki greets him with a good morning, and when he turns, shock spreads through him because she is not alone. Waka stands beside her with a cheerful good morning of her own. He bursts out, demanding what she is doing here. Yuzuki explains that it is the three of them going on a date. He fires back, confused, because that is what she meant by a date. She confirms it calmly, wondering if she had not mentioned it already. His thoughts race non-stop, and everything feels painfully awkward. Waka leans close and whispers into his ear, wondering if he thought he was going on a date with Yuzuki alone. He starts denying it and tries to explain himself. Yuzuki cuts in, saying she thought it would be good for the three of them to spend some time together first and figure out why she felt so strange when she saw the two of them together last time. She announces that it is time to go. He questions where they are going, and she explains that they are heading to a popular cafe she wanted to check out because she heard the pancakes taste delicious. He reacts with surprise, and she confirms it while adding that the waiters are supposed to look cute too. When the waiters appear, Waka notes that they really do look cute and calls the idea great. Eating pancakes together feels fun. Yuzuki agrees, and Waka mentions she loves sweets. Yuzuki feels glad to hear that. Tomoya sits there, thinking about how he ended up eating pancakes with two girls like this. When the pancakes arrive, Yuzuki exclaims that they look delicious and wonders what kind they are. Waka identifies hers as strawberry whipped cream. Yuzuki turns toward Tomoya and notices his plate of French fries, questioning why he ordered them. He explains that he just likes the way they taste. She acknowledges it, but reminds him that people do not come here for that. He brushes it off with whatever. Yuzuki takes a bite of her pancake and reaches for a French fry, wondering if he minds. He reacts with confusion that she wants some and tells her to go ahead. She then holds out a piece of her pancake for him to try, leaving him baffled. She urges him to open his mouth wide, and he blushes because she already took a bite, wondering what she thinks he is. He remembers she used to do this when they were kids, always trying to feed him like this. He ends up taking the bite. She asks how it tastes, and he admits it is good. Waka watches them, and jealousy stings her for a moment before she forces herself to calm down. Yuzuki then turns to Waka and tells her to open her mouth. Tomoya screams internally because he just ate from that piece, and now she is eating the same thing, which flusters him. But she eats it anyway, and he tells himself to stop worrying because they are college students now, and it is nothing. Yuzuki finishes her food and announces that the meal was so yummy. Tomoya comments on how fast she eats, while noting that Waka definitely eats slowly. Waka continues eating, apologizes, and asks if they mind because she needs to go to the ladies' room. Yuzuki allows her to go, and Tomoya mentions that he will grab some water. As he heads out to get water, he stops dead in his tracks when he finds Waka sitting alone in the hallway in clearly bad condition, and the sight shocks him completely. She sniffles while he stands frozen in front of her, questioning what happened. She grabs his shirt and says she feels sick. Later, after she finishes explaining everything, he stands there in disbelief, questioning if she is serious. She does not even like sweets. She clarifies she does like them, but if she eats too much, she feels sick right away. He demands to know if she will be all right, because if she cannot handle sweets, she should have ordered something else. She did not need to push herself. She insists she did. The pancakes looked cute, and she could not let the chance pass because she wanted to post them on her feed. Girls who like sweets always seem cute, and other girls bond with her instantly whenever she claims she loves sweets. He questions whether she realizes she might be taking her act too far. She adds she felt genuinely happy when Yuzuki invited her last night to eat pancakes together. She felt glad that someone like Yuzuki wanted to be friends with her, so she could not turn down the invitation. Tomoya finally understands. She already knew what would happen if she ate sweets and could have refused, but she still came because she wanted to be friends with Yuzuki. She must have felt awful from the first bite, yet she kept going because it felt rude to leave the food untouched after being invited. It feels oddly admirable. When they return to the table, he announces he suddenly feels like eating pancakes too. Yuzuki brightens and asks if he wants some. He declines and states he will just have Waka's instead, leaving Waka shocked. He questions whether she minds. She watches him eat her half-finished pancake using her fork and panics internally. She wonders why she is freaking out, because it is just an indirect kiss. He clearly does not mind. He takes the first bite and thinks the flavor is sweet. Too sweet. She watches him eat and blushes so hard she squeezes her tissue. She notices he is not this eager when Yuzuki feeds him. He thinks while chewing that everything tastes extremely sweet. She thinks he is too easy to read while her blush spreads. Yuzuki watches her and feels that strange emotion rise again. She cannot understand why she feels so off whenever she sees the two of them like this. She only wanted to be friends with both of them, but something inside her twists and she has no idea why. A waitress stands behind the wall, watching them eat together. Another waitress walks up and questions what she is doing and why she is hiding. She brushes it off as imagination. The second waitress presses her again. The first one turns out to be Amamiya-san, who explains she cannot let her classmates see her like this.
Here I am, know it's been a while.